Hello and welcome to another FPL captaincy video. Today we are pre-recording this one. It's currently Wednesday, the week before this comes out, because again I have to mention this in every pre-recorded video. I'm going away on Friday, which is the 13th of September, and I won't be back until next Friday. So I'm having to pre-record all of my FPL videos for Game Week 5. So that is why on screen you can see I currently don't know how Haaland is done for Game Week 4. So as you're watching this video, you will know how he got on against Brentford. I currently don't. I'm hoping that he's scored. I'm going to go for 2 goals. I think he has picked up 2 goals over the weekend, and we've got another successful captaincy. But let's head in to see who we are picking for Game Week 5. So we've lined up 4 choices for this week. Once again, Haaland and Salah are here. I think they basically have to be here every single week. I mean, they're the 2 most expensive players in the game, and they're the two highest point scorers in the game. So they're always going to be captaincy picks, depending when it doesn't even matter who their opponent is. So we've got Arsenal for Erling Haaland at home this week. Salah has Bournemouth at home. We also have Son and Palmer this week, who also have some pretty favourable fixtures. So Son's up against Brentford, and Cole Palmer is up against West Ham, the only away fixture of this week. So as the predicted points stand, it is quite clear that Salah is the one expected to do the best. He is at the highest for both Fantasy Football Hub and FPL Team. Now FPL Team is where you can kind of really see the difference. You know, Salah's expected to score 7.9 points, and then you can see the other 3 picks are all within the 5 to 6 range. So Haaland's in at 5.1, Palmer at 5.7, and Son at 5.6. Now, Fantasy Football Hub, again, as it usually does, is expecting players to do a little bit better than FPL Team, with Haaland scoring 7.1 points against Arsenal, Palmer with 6.5 against West Ham, and Son with 6.4 against Brentford. So it's very clear that Salah is the most preferred according to these 2 apps. However, when you're looking at, for the example, the likes of Haaland, with the likes of Palmer and Son, they are very, very close to Haaland, and Haaland's actually the one expected to score the least amount of points in FPL Team this week. So it just kind of shows you that all of these guys are some pretty decent options. You know, the predicted points isn't the be all and end all of who's going to do well, of course, but when you've got players outscoring Haaland, you know that they're expected to do well that week. So unfortunately, as it is Wednesday, I don't have the odds for each of these guys to score. Now, I will put them out on my Twitter, so make sure you're following me over there closer to the time where you can get a better look of players in the individual game week. So we are moving straight on to the XG and XA. Now, obviously, I don't have Game Week 4's results for these, so we are still going off the first 3 game weeks. Again, it obviously isn't ideal, but it was either that or no captaincy video, so I feel like it was just best to at least put something out. So again, Salah, Palmer and Son all leading the way with 90 minutes. Again, Haaland isn't exactly far behind. He's sitting there at 89 expected minutes. So again, all 4 90-minute players. That's exactly what you want from your captain. You do not want to be picking someone who's going to be subbed off early, and I don't really think any of these players do that, so it's always going to be a positive when picking out your captaincy. Haaland obviously leading the way on XG. Now, in terms of the other players, Palmer is the one sitting at 0.85. Now, he's the lowest for XG, but he is kind of like performing how you would have expected. You know, they've had a couple of difficult fixtures. Chelsea have, with obviously Man City in Game Week 1, and then a good defensive Palace side in Game Week 3. He has still scored. He's still kind of performing as you would expect from his XG. No penalties for him yet, which always is very positive when it comes to Cole Palmer's points, as we saw last season. However, Palmer is the one leading the way for expected assists, and when I say leading the way, it is by the tiniest of margins against Mo Salah, by 0.01 for expected assists. So again, both Salah and Palmer slightly overperforming that expected assists mark, so it is something to keep in mind that they aren't going to be able to pick up that many assists over the long term. And then in terms of the return chance, again, can't really look at that right now. There isn't any odds to really go off of that. That's why that section of the video isn't here. So in terms of set pieces, again, we are picking all penalty takers. I think it's going to be a very rare occasion when it comes to a player for a captaincy that isn't going to be getting 90 minutes and isn't going to be on penalties, because it's just two very big factors in FPL. Now you'll notice as well, Palmer is also on free kicks and he does take some corners as well. Now he's listed as the second corner taker for on the FPL set piece takers, which is why it's highlighted in orange, because we don't expect him to take every single corner, but he does still take corners. Now he is on the free kicks and he is on the penalties, which does give him that set piece advantage over our other captaincy options. Now for this week's video, we're adding in another section. Obviously that is now European games starting, so it is going to be a big factor when trying to pick our captaincies. Now starting off looking at Salah, he's playing in the Champions League against AC Milan on Tuesday, and he gets only a 3-day rest before playing against Bournemouth on Saturday. Now that's a 3 PM kickoff, so it's not an early kickoff, which can sometimes make it a bit of a difference. Now Haaland as well gets the same amount of rest between his game on Wednesday in the Champions League and his game on Sunday against Arsenal, which I believe is the 5:30 kickoff, so he gets a couple more hours than Salah does. Isn't going to make the biggest of differences. Now Cole Palmer and Heung-min Son, both players not having European football, because one, for Chelsea, the Conference League doesn't start until early October, so that's going to give Cole Palmer a little bit more rest over the next couple of weeks before he plays against West Ham on Saturday. Now the same with Son, the Europa League does not start until next week, which is the 26th of September, so he also is getting a full week of rest. So this is definitely going to come into play. Obviously a big game to start off the Champions League for both of our big hitters in Haaland and Salah, so it could be a decent week where the likes of Palmer and Son, with that extra rest, do a little bit better. Obviously Haaland having a much more difficult fixture, so it more comes into play when you're thinking about Salah. And finally, we are looking at our chances conceded and our opponent's defensive stats. Now, Salah up against Bournemouth, it actually doesn't look as pretty as you would think. Now, obviously Salah on paper, I think with Haaland having a difficult fixture, before this video started, you'd probably think was going to be the obvious captain. Now, he's playing against the 8th worst defence in the league, with Bournemouth, who have conceded, or have an expected goals conceded of 4.7, and they've conceded 4 goals. Now, when you look at the chances conceded by Bournemouth, there isn't really too much going down that right hand side, so it could be a week potentially that you could go for a very differential captain here, because looking at the stats outside of the predicted points, obviously we don't have the odds yet, but everything else is telling me that this could be a week where Salah doesn't do too well. Obviously he's one of the best players in the Premier League, you know, he can do well in any game. Maybe he picks up one, maybe he picks up a couple of assists, but for me, I think I'm kind of leaning towards not going for Salah. You know, only 10 chances conceded, and then when you're looking at like Arsenal have conceded more chances in Haaland's position than Bournemouth have in Salah's position. So you'd actually think, purely based on chances conceded, that Haaland looks like the better option, when we all know that probably isn't the case. So it is just something to keep in mind. Obviously, when we're looking at Arsenal as well, they haven't actually been as solid defensively as usually. They are sitting as the 14th worst defence in the league so far, with 3.7 expected goals conceded. Obviously they have only conceded 1, so realistically they have been pretty lucky in not conceding as much as they should have. Now when we look more at Palmer and Son, who again, as we just mentioned, are getting a full week of rest. Now chances conceded, obviously Cole Palmer's been playing in that attacking midfield role. Looking at West Ham, 2 weeks after Haaland's just bagged a hat-trick against them, this could be a very good week to pick a central Chelsea player. Now I'm looking at Cole Palmer right now, but I also wouldn't mind taking a look at Nicholas Jackson for this week, because 28 chances down the middle is absolutely huge. Again, you're talking almost 3 times as many chances in Cole Palmer and Jackson's position as, again, Bournemouth conceding chances down the right hand side for Salah. So I really do like this, and obviously West Ham, as you can see, are the 2nd worst defence in the league with 6.5 expected goals conceded, only behind Ipswich. So I really do like Cole Palmer as a pick this week. Now, in terms of Son, he is more likely going to be back out on the left-hand side. Obviously, Solanke's now back, and he's going to be operating the space through the middle. So, again, Brentford not really conceding too many chances down the wings, so Son might not be as effective from here, but they are still the 5th worst defence in the league. And Son, I believe, is still on penalties. We don't know because they haven't had one yet. Could Solanke potentially take them off him? I doubt it, but it's always a possibility. So it is just something to keep in mind. So we're going bold this week. I'm going for Cole Palmer as my choice of captaincy this week. We're going against Mo Salah. I feel like there's a lot of people right now shaking their heads saying, how can you not pick Salah against Bournemouth? I feel like it's a week where I'm having to pre-record the video. I might as well take a little bit of a punt. And I think all of these stats that we've just looked at are really heavily favouring Cole Palmer. Now, if you don't have Palmer, maybe you're looking at another Chelsea player. I do think Nicholas Jackson could be a really nice captaincy here as well. So both of these guys looking like some really good picks, and we're going against Salah this week. Now, the reason for picking Palmer, again, as you can see, on all set pieces, takes free kicks and some corners as well as the penalties. Up against the 2nd worst defence in the Premier League so far. No midweek fixture, which obviously Salah is playing in the Champions League, so he's getting a full week of rest, which gives him the advantage there as well. And then West Ham conceding so many chances centrally. So I really do think this could be a week to go against Salah, where he will 100% be the most captained player. So I think this could be quite good. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Let me know if you agree or not. I imagine you probably don't. A lot of people will probably play it safe and go for Salah. I just think this could be a good week to go against them. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. We'll be back to regular captaincy videos next week, and I'll see you all in the next one.